Thank you so much to everybody who is supporting me on Patreon. Your generosity and support is greatly appreciated. I love you all so much. If you like what I do and want to support me in a more personal way, then consider joining my Patreon page today. There will be a link at the top of the description. Hello and welcome back to the Triton LEGO Railway Layouts. This is segment number 7, a dedicated engine shed. Finally! This has been designed so it continues straight after the signal box. Now, as you saw on that segment, there was a footpath of sorts that has been extended and slightly modified so the footpath itself looks a little bit more detailed and a few more stud points to stand minifigures. As you can see on this bit, there is a slight extension as well that goes for about half of one base plate. It's not too much, but in time, of course, more details will be added. I didn't technically get to finish this and add more details besides the shed because once I kind of got this main chunk done, I started doing other stuff and got myself distracted. But yes, that is a good way of noting to people who are tuning in for the first time, this is a continuation of something else I have built for this layout. The shed is the only other thing that's going on for this segment, so let's dig in. The shed roof was an accidental success because the overall design I think looks quite good. Now it does stick out quite a bit on each end. By the front and back it's about 4 studs or so, and if you look at it on the side it does stick out by 1 stud just so it can be surrounded and can stay on nice and snug. Now I am using the 6x8 slope pieces as well as some 2x4 slope pieces along the middle. The 2x4s because I had loads of those and I still have quite a hefty bag of them, but the bigger slopes because this is what I originally had in mind. Now I had to make a few more bricklink orders, but overall the roof design, especially in black, looks really good. I intended to use red bricks along the side anyways, and these big windows, these were all things that were kind of planned and were kind of written down and noted down and whatever else. I didn't know how this would look in real life. After doing a few digital mock-ups, I wasn't too sure, but going ahead with it works. It just works really well. I'm so happy. There are no studs along the top of the wall at all. It is all smooth, all tiles. The roof comes off in 2 pieces. It was built up as 2 separate pieces, but they are identical in how they are built up. So the walls sit in this small trench, for lack of a better word, that goes around the roof. Now, again, no studs because that would just make things even more difficult, and with the way that this is all positioned and how it all behaves when it comes to putting the roof pieces on, they keep themselves together. And taking them off is really that easy, especially so when you're just taking one off at a time. Again, that's just how LEGO behaves. But the best thing about taking them off is getting to look inside. Oh my goodness, look at this. Well, I say let's have a look inside because it's actually quite empty. At the same time, it's my fault. Not because, you know, I am in charge of making this and, yeah, I get that. But I had more stuff built up. I had a mill, I had a saw, just a few other workshop, you know, proper tools built up. Some of them I took apart because I didn't like how they looked. Other things were taken apart because I wanted the intricate pieces for other designs and projects I had going on at the same time as this. So the emptiness is kind of my fault. But at the same time, you know, I'm still trying. Having to look up designs and kind of instructions or something along the lines of how to make some certain individual small tool pieces like what I was looking for. It's still a bit of a lengthy task, but all in all, it did somehow get done. But of course, knowing me, I made the backwards progress in taking those models apart. All the same, I still think this looks pretty good, and I did look up the Making Tornado sort of documentary series. I was looking at the shed that they were making Tornado in. I think it's Doncaster, don't quote me, it's been a long time since I've seen that video. But the interior of that shed is what I was going for originally. And I want to say thank you to Trix Bricks because when I made my very first order with them, they sent me a free buffer set. Now this is a free gift. It wasn't sponsored anyway, but it was just a freebie they threw in the order. So thank you very much to Trix Bricks. I've finally been able to put it to good use here. It fits well with the track and all the other bricks I've got connected to it are just perfectly snug. It's so good. I'm so happy with how this turns out. And all in all, it just adds a little extra something to the shed project. Saves me having to make some brick-built buffers as well. Now I also have this little bit of black track here. Off-brand, it's modified. Why do I have this on my layout and what is this supposed to represent? Now, I'm going to explain that in the next video because this segment is kind of a two-parter in a way. Think how the goods yard was 3 segments in one. This shed area is 2 segments in one. And if I explain this now, I'm going to have less to talk about in the next episode, so I'm going to have to save this here anyways. And that is the end of this layout showcase video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. I want to quickly note I'm quite pleased with how I was able to make this work alongside another segment. With how this links up to the signal box segment is really good. It all makes sense with that whole stretch as well, where it's station, signal box, and now we have a shed. So yeah, it's went from, you know, its own shed, it was going to be its own siding somewhere random, into something that works and makes sense. And ultimately, the shed design itself is really good. Now, of course, more details will be added to the inside of the shed, as well as other things around the shed, like some plants. A pile of sleepers most likely will appear somewhere. Just some more details to make it look a little bit more alive. It's more smaller details, and that's not something I focus on too much. Obviously, if you've seen the videos where I say, in time I'll add this, in time I'll do that, it will happen. But because they're smaller details, it's not at the kind of front and center of my mind, which is a bit of a shame, because potentially I might forget to do that, and, well, maybe not forget it, but I won't get around to it as urgently as I should with other things. So yes, there we go. Thank you to everybody who's supporting me on Patreon. Your generosity means so much to me. Thank you so much. I love you all so much. If you are not in my Discord server, then be sure to do so. There is a link at the top of my description for the Patreon page and the Discord server. Make sure you are joining the Triton LEGO Railway Community Challenge, where every month you will be building a LEGO train-based item, and it will be shown off in a monthly video where you can get shout-outs and the world will be able to see what you are capable of. I'm hoping to see everybody there, because the LEGO train community is just so fascinating and just so awesome. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.